Hey, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter, and I'm an intuitive astrologer. And I'm here today because, frankly, I have been completely enamored and taken with Taylor Swift's new romance with Travis Kelce. And it's been all over, the news. It's been all over the TikTok and all the feeds, the social platforms. And so I got curious about their synergy. They seem to be moving at lightning speed. And intuitively, it felt very appropriate to me. So while I don't normally do celebrity synergy, I thought today I would share with you some of what I think are very positive aspects for their being a couple, for what's coming in the future. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'm going to make a prediction as to when I think they will get married, what the date will be. So I hope I've intrigued you. And what I'm going to do now is share my screen and start to explain to you how I'm arriving at my conclusions. So let's go. All right. So what I have here is Taylor Swift is in the inner circle. It is the lighter gray background. This is the Placidus house system rather than whole sign. I personally, as an intuitive astrologer, feel like the house structure, size, and the various degrees are important for giving clues as to more detail about things. I have Travis on the outer wheel. Now, I didn't find an exact time of birth for Travis, but I did go through, basically I started at 12 a.m. on the 5th of October and went all the way till 11:59 p.m. And the moon was in Sagittarius that whole day. So I'm going to sort of use Taylor's exact birth time, because it is correct, and go from her chart. If I was doing a synergy chart for a couple, when I do personal charts, I like to flip the wheel and look at it from both sides. But I think we'll be okay if we just use Taylor's as the template, for lack of a better term. Okay, so Taylor was born on December 13th, 1989 at 5:17 a.m. in Reading, Pennsylvania. Travis was born October 5th, 1989 in Westlake, Ohio, and we're using the 12 p.m. noon as his birth time. The first thing that I noticed is, you can see here's my little square. Taylor has a Scorpio ascendant at 25 degrees. Her Mars is in the ancient ruler of her ascendant, Scorpio, and it is in a direct conjunction with Travis's Venus in Scorpio at 26 degrees. This aspect would not change regardless if we had Travis's exact time of birth. So this is huge to me, because the 12th house, well, this is on the cusp of, it's right in her first house. It's on the cusp of the 12th house. And the 12th house is a house that it represents karma. It represents the soul's journey through lifetime after lifetime, our ancestors. It represents many, many things. Here in the sign of Scorpio, we have Taylor's Mars, which represents the man at 26 degrees in her first house. And as I said, conjunct Travis's Venus, which represents the woman in his chart. So to me, this is something where she very much would want a strong, assertive man. Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. And also Pluto, who rules Scorpio in modern times, wasn't discovered until, I believe, 1977. And so Mars has really dominated that house for most of astrology's history. So we've got the Lord of the Manor in her first house. So she's definitely going to want a man who's strong, a man who is assertive, a man who knows himself. Now let's talk about the 26th degree. That degree is the Taurus degree. It is the Venusian degree. Venus co-rules Travis's sun in Libra. So she would want a strong man, but also a man who could enjoy Venusian things, enjoy fashion, enjoy good food, enjoy the finer things in life. So we have this natural couplehood here between Venus and Mars, and we see him being able to appreciate a powerful woman. Now, Venus is not considered strong in Scorpio. Oftentimes we'd say she's she's in fall because she's in the opposite sign of her rulership. But at the same time, I think that's because women traditionally have not been appreciated for being strong, not been appreciated for creating great wealth. So here, I feel like he has an appreciation for her being a powerful woman. And I'm going to support that in other points of the chart. So I think that's really powerful. I also feel like it's kind of kismet that she doesn't have her Venus and he doesn't have his Mars. It's the opposite. So there is something very appreciative that they have for each other. And what I think that is this sense of intimacy, the sense of Scorpio can be very private. It's a very sexual sign. The 12th house naturally rules the bedroom. So this is right on the cusp of the first and 12th in the first house. So they probably dream together. They might even have a lot of pillow talk together. I'm sure it's extremely passionate. And while I don't necessarily want to go into the particulars of their sex life, I'm sure it's very good. So I really like this. And it's on her ascendant. So while she is a strong, powerful woman, she also wants to be seen as a woman. She's very romantic, and we see that evidenced by her moon in Cancer. But again, I'll get to that in a minute because, okay, so what I want to talk about next, I think, is their Jupiters. Okay, because here we go over into the house, the 8th house of transformation, which is naturally ruled by Scorpio. So, and there's a synastry between these two houses because they both represent the other side, meaning the 8th house naturally rules death, it rules sex, it rules money, it rules power, it rules control. Now we have this layer of the Cancerian energy on it, which is this a nurturing energy. So it'd be a healing energy and a maternal energy. So what we see is the using money for potentially creating ease for other people, nurturing other people. Jupiter is expansive. Jupiter rules wealth. Jupiter rules the husband in ancient times. Now we see this is Travis's Jupiter going forward in Cancer. This is Taylor's Jupiter retrograde, and there is her moon in Cancer. The moon is the lordess of the manor, the lady of the house. Here we have Jupiter, both of them, is exalted in Cancer, means that it's a welcome guest. This is where we roll out the red carpet. This is where we have the finest china out. This is where we bring the most beautiful foods in, and we really want to expand on that. So, and look, it's within 2 degrees. Hers is at the Libra degree. He's a Libra sun. His is at the Sagittarian degree, which is her sun. Okay, ding, 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 ding. So together, they're very expansive. And in some ways, because his Jupiter is moving forward and her Jupiter is moving retrograde, I feel like this is where he becomes a great emotional support for her and allows her to put her hair down a little bit. You know, obviously, her wealth is, you know, astronomical. And while he is very wealthy in his own right, you know, she's hit a point where, you know, there's no return, let's say it that way. But I don't believe this in any way would diminish him, because I think he very much has demonstrated his willingness to be very strong protective energy, to be mindful of her heart. So I think this conjunction with Jupiter in the house of home, in the 8th house of I think they have, obviously, again, here's very intimate sex. This is also, I would imagine, this is going to sound kind of funny. I would imagine they'd have breakfast in bed together. They might enjoy that kind of thing. But I feel that they very much appreciate one another. I love here is Taylor's moon. She's very emotive and very caring and very protective. That's another attribute of the Cancer moon, the mother there. So I think she would be very loving towards her partner and very generous. Now, as I was learning astrology and synergy, one of the theories is you always sort of want and we were learning it in heterosexual relationships. So for those of you that aren't in heterosexual relationships, we can kind of rewrite the rules a little bit and sort of use the dominant energy as the man energy, and then the more submissive energy as the female energy. And I'm only doing that because it's traditional. But what I learned is that we want the man's moon to follow the woman's moon. And here, while it's rather far behind her, it's very close to her sun. So as the moon progressed throughout the day of Travis's birth, the later in the day it got, the closer it became in conjunction with her sun, which is a new moon. It's the man and the woman coming together. So I was like, wow, this is really powerful. Because again, I don't have his exact time of birth, but the way that this is played out for me, he has a Sagittarius, he's got I believe it was a Sagittarius rising when I did the 12 p.m. birth time. His is a Sagittarius rising at 4 degrees Sagittarius. So this felt very kismety to me. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about the outer planets because these are generational. They're not going to move a lot. They're, clearly when it comes to the Pluto energy, somebody was retrograde. There was a retrograde going on at the time of their birth, and then it started to move forward. But not necessarily actually, because Travis is the outer wheel. He was born 2 months before she was. So we see some traction getting here. And I don't necessarily think that Saturn, while they both have Saturn in the 2nd house, to me, this really played out that he could be. Here is where I see Mercury is her songwriting, Neptune is the songstress as well, and then her dedication here with Saturn in the 2nd house, being very willing to work hard to make her dream come true. And with Saturn and Neptune here in his 2nd house, I feel like he's very supportive of that and very committed. I also think that she has a Mercury in Capricorn, which, would make her think in a way that's very Capricornian, building, practical. I don't necessarily think that, she may have had trepidation, as we know, in her youth when her peers were not accepting of her career goals or not embracing them at her young age. But for the most part, I feel like her Mercury's in a good place here. For some reason, it makes me feel like she's a more fluid songwriter with this combination and willing to dig deep into her fears or whatever her emotional body is that Saturn could represent in the challenging energies. Now we see Travis's Mercury up here in Virgo. So together they would have an alignment. They naturally trine that. While it's not a tight trine in degree, it would represent a way of thinking that makes me think they have a nice balance between wanting to allow both parties in their everyday life to excel and to succeed and to blossom. They also have both of their south nodes in the sign of Leo, which rules royalty, it rules entertainment, it's a fire sign, it could rule sports entertainment. So they've been in the public eye before. I would suspect that they have, it could potentially be that because his sun is in fall in Libra, and her sun is in a natural fire sign. So it would naturally complement her first house where her sun is, the two fire signs, Leo and Sagittarius, because there could be a role reversal where maybe in a past life he was the more dominant energy and was able to have the career that he wanted, and she might have felt a little bit more. If she was a female, she might not have been able to fully embrace her power or be validated or get credit for it. Because again, here we see this, the North and South node always represent where we've been, our soul's imprint, and the North node is what we're stretching for in this lifetime, which is to really express our independence. She's got this Leo degree South node. So this is, again, being the performer, being able to really step out in the limelight. And he has this Piscean 24 degree South node, North node. So he feels very strong about being able to support her dreams and her vision of herself and not be diminished. I also thought, let me see, hold on, I wanted to say something. Oh, I also felt like his moon in Sagittarius is very healing for her, because it feels to me as it progressed throughout, again, I don't know how close to her sun it actually got, but with this 12 p.m. birth time, he has his moon on the great attractor, which is in the Shapley cluster, and her sun is not far from from the galactic center. I believe it's it's not within the orb, but in any case, there's something very synergistic about him supporting her emotional body as she expresses herself out into the world in her full glory. And it's really very beautiful to me. Also, what I thought was interesting is her Juno. Juno is the sign of marriage. Here's her Juno at 8 degrees of Scorpio, and it trines his Jupiter in Cancer. So this to me is a favorable aspect of commitment. It's actually her Juno sits in between their two Jupiters. Hers is here retrograde, which makes me feel like even though she's hugely expansive and hugely rich, that she allows this man to be a man. She allows this man to feel the power of who he is. I think she's even talked about having thoughts about what it's like to be with her and be in the fishbowl. So him having his moon supporting her sun, having her Juno supporting their expansion. And when I look at his Juno in Libra, while it squares these points here to me, I also felt like it squares them because that energy in the 11th house could sometimes make the world, or the World Wide Web may infer that he is Mr. Swift, but I don't think he'll own that because his this little cluster over here actually trines her stretching to be herself and her independent self. So I think that there is a strong connection with them. I think that's why it appears to be moving quickly. I think there's a soul's memory between the two of them. And what did I say? His sun is conjunct Mars and Juno in Libra, which could reflect the second position in partnership, okay? And at the same time, that is the perception of the outside world, not necessarily the perception of what they are building together. And I wanted to say, okay, so now I'm going to take him off the wheel and I'm going to put in her transits, because I have a funny feeling. Here we see today is November 15th, 2023, and currently Juno is on her MC. So her MC, Juno, is the point of marriage, committed partnership. And here it is on her, the MC is the midheaven, the highest point of the chart, which represents career. We also see transiting Venus going through her 10th house, making her romance very public. We also see, interestingly enough, I didn't realize this, the Sun and Mars are going through Scorpio on her natal Mars. So that's very powerful in, kind of expressing this passion. Mars is very passionate. And to me, this is not the aggressive side here. Also today, actually, I take that back, because the exact conjunction to me will move forward on her Mars. So we may see even more rapid movement in their love affair. That's what I want to say. But where I think we might go, I'm going to go to April 2024. And we're going to see in April 2024 a great conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus. I think this is about the 24th on her chart. So let me do that. And you'll see here, this is the transiting energy right here. Now, while it's in her 6th house of work, there's something about this that makes me feel like there's a trine here to now Juno up here on the other side of her MC. And I feel like they're going to get engaged. I'm just going to say it. I feel like in April 2024, Travis and Taylor are going to get engaged. We see a huge amount of activity here in Aries. We've got Mercury. We've had Chiron in Aries for quite some time. We see the North Node transiting here in this, ravenous for romance and passion. Again, Mars rules Aries. And we see Eris here. She's been in this sign, but here we have Venus, we have Mercury, and we have the Sun just entering Taurus. I just intuitively think that's going to happen. Now I'm going to get a little bit crazy, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen because this is a totally weird intuitive thing for me. Taylor has a thing about 13s, and she loves to, what does she call them? Put Easter eggs within her videos and on her album covers and all sorts of things for her fans to figure out. And I think that October 13th, 2024 will be her wedding day. I don't know if it'll be public or if it'll be a sneak off private affair that we'll hear about later. But 10/13/24 is right after Travis's birthday in October. They will have been together for about a year, and the day is a 13. It reduces down to a 13. 10 is a 1 plus 13 is a 4 plus 2024 is an 8. That reduces down to a 13. So you heard it here. I don't know if I'll be right or not, so hopefully we'll see. But I definitely think that tight end is her end game, and I'm unabashedly enjoying their romance and watching them, play out something very romantic and very, in many ways, very chivalrous. I just love that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, please share, send it off to Taylor and Travis and see if we can get them to confirm the wedding date. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Please join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we do our angel readings and the angels give us advice for traversing the transits ahead. All right. See you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.